All right, team. It is Tuesday, April 10th. This is our second Lunch and Learn for April. We are focusing our April, although we kind of try to focus on this all the time, but April having a blooming business. And I know we're in crazy weather patterns all over the country. It's snowing, it's sunny, it's raining, it's snowing one day and then hot the next day. Just craziness. But April showers bring May flowers. So we want to have raining down recruits and shows and just have all the blooming going on for this month. So now last week's call, we talked about sending out some personalized sharing brochures out to 10 hostesses at a time or just leads in general, and to track them, using the tracker, and then see what leads you could create from that. And to do 10 each week so that you didn't get overwhelmed in the way that you would have if you sent 40 out at once and then try to follow up with 40 people. Right. So did anyone take that action step? Did any of you mail out some sharing brochures to people that you were planning to follow up with?
I have not mailed any, but I'm doing a lot of follow-ups today, and I will do that today.
Excellent. And what kind of follow-up are you working on, Summer?
The shows I had a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, just checking in on all the customers, making sure they like everything, and if they like anything else. And then I have a big team event on Sunday. I was going to reach out and see if they want to come to it.
Fantastic. That's terrific. And that is a business habit that every single one of us need to work on. That follow up, make sure that people receive their jewelry. I think I'm going to dedicate an entire call on its own to that topic, because the follow up, can you imagine, if you don't do customer follow up, you don't get repeat customers. Can you imagine any other business not depending on repeat customers? If you walked into McDonald's and said, "Hey, who's here for the first time?" Would anyone raise their hand? Probably not, right? Not one person inside of McDonald's is like, what do they have here? Because, of course, they've been a million times. You know what they have. You'll still stand there and attempt to make it like you don't know what you want, but you know you're getting the Big Mac and medium size with a Diet Coke and an M&M McFlurry. You know it's happening, so just stop it already and order it. So if we are not checking in on our customers and we are not seeing that, if they need something, because of course we want to take care of something, right? If somebody has something that arrived broken, instead of them sitting around stewing about it, we're handling it. If they thought they checked off gold, they meant to do silver, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm stuck with an extra gold necklace I'm not going to wear," we're going to handle it. If they love it, we're going to talk about it and make them feel extra great about what they purchased. We can share with them what the current specials are, and we can use those favorite words that you've heard me say a million times. So, Summer, did you know that because of your order, Chelsea got about $800 worth of free and discounted jewelry? I would love to do something like that for you. We have extra great specials this month. What do you think about getting a couple girls together? Right? That is great customer follow-up. And then that's how we have repeat hostesses. That's how we have repeat customers. I would say at least a third of my hostesses in any given year are repeat hostesses from the year before or 2 years before. So every once in a while, it's funny how like the seasons will bring that back to you, because every once in a while I'm like, this is the kind of weather it was when I did Charlena's group last year. This is their time of year. Let me reach back to some of them. And I'll start with Charlena because she was the first hostess. But if she's not interested, then of course I'm going to reach out to Rosalinda, and then I'm going to reach out, to each one that was part of that crew. So whatever it takes, whatever kind of memory it takes to jog, whether one day you're outside and you're like, this is just like the weather was when I did such and such. That means it's probably about a year ago. Whether you keep your old calendar, I could crack you guys up. I have a big pile right down here on like a, not easily accessed, but if I crawled down and reached it, my calendars for years and years of shows, including my other business, so that I can remember names and when people's shows were. I actually am going to start, based on the training I got this weekend, what I am going to start doing is noting the sales and the free, or the total shopping spree in my calendar for each show once I close it up. Because when I'm flicking back and saying, who should I follow up with? Sometimes you forget that, you know, Mary Frances had a $2,000 show. You're like, oh my God, I forgot about that one. I should reach out to her. She had a great show. Or that somebody got a particularly large shopping spree, and part of who you're talking to was at that show. And you're like, did you know that Sue had gotten about $1,100 worth of jewelry? She only had about 8 people at the party. I would love for you to get something like that. So that kind of follow-up is what gets you the repeat customers. Love it. Love it. So that's why today I really wanted to focus on, you know, we have so many company programs that it can almost become overwhelming, and you almost sometimes forget what you're shooting for. And there are 2 levels of the Rich Rewards that I think are really the most important for your growth. And those are level 3, which is the $2,500 in sales, and the 2 recruits, the 2 personal recruits, which maybe is level 5, because they don't really number them necessarily in an order that you have to achieve them, because there's another sales level in between 3 and then level 5. It's just that all the recruiting ones are at the end. So 2,500 and 2 recruits. I want you to think about the amount of money and growth that you would have if this quarter, meaning April, May, and June, you would have if you did those 2 minimums personally, right? So 2,500, let's say it was net. It doesn't have to be net, but for the purpose of your paycheck, we're going to call it net, okay? So 2,500 times 3 is 7,500. Now let's times that by your commission. Some of you are 30, some of you are 35, some of you are 40. I'm going to do 35 just to kind of put it in the middle, right? So times 35%, which is a branch director amount, is $2,625. Because 2,500 times 3 means that you sold 7,500. Park Lane's going to pay you 35% times 35%, $2,625. Who wants $2,625? By June, right? Right there. That's without even what your 2 new people are selling, right? So let's say now that those 2 people, they're going to sell $1,000 a month because they're going to qualify, right? So that's 4 recruits times, no, 2, that's 6 recruits times 1,000. So that's 6,000. We haven't even allotted for the fact that the people in April will work again in May. The people in May will work again in June. This is just the commission on their launches. Because it's easier to figure out based on an areas than a branches, I'm going to do 10%. So a branch, an area makes 10% on that. So the 2,100 in just the launch business times 10%, that's another $210. What about the April sales, the April recruit sales for May, the May recruit sales for June? What about the other people you already have? We're already at almost $3,000, and we didn't even account any of that other business. We didn't even account for, there's months that plenty of the faces I'm looking at sell way more than 2,500. We didn't account for that some of those recruits, hopefully all of those recruits, are going to sell well beyond $1,000. You're talking about easily $3,000 in commission or more, really much more. If you commit to yourself that you will be selling to 2,500 and you will find 2 recruits. Now, how many shows do you think it will take for you to sell $2,500? there may be some variation in answers, so it's not necessarily a right or a wrong answer.
Maybe
Like
three or four.
3 or 4.
Okay, so 3 or 4. Now, considering that probably 2 of those will turn into your team members and those sales will go into under them, how many then will you actually need for the 2,500 to show up under your name?
About 6.
Right, at least 6. Now, considering that someone in there's kid's going to get a stomach virus and throw up 5 minutes before you were supposed to come, now we need a 7th. And somebody else is going to forget to invite people and postpone into the next month, so there's 8. So let's say that, let's agree that 8 is really what it's going to take because you're going to be a great recruiter and because life happens to some people. Now, are there going to be times you schedule 8 and do all 8? Yes, there will be. And if that makes you a little busier than you're accustomed to, consider that that month you worked overtime, enjoy that paycheck, and you're going to say, wow, either you're going to say, geez, I better hope somebody cancels again next month because that was too much for me. Or you're going to say, that was actually no big deal. I worked 1 weeknight, I worked 1 weekend day, and it's not even like my other job where when I work, I have to be there for 8 hours. When I work here, I only have to be there for 3 hours, sometimes even less. It can also be, instead of 8 shows, maybe it's 6 shows and 4 personal appointments, or 6 shows and 3 or 4 Facebook parties. Because Facebook parties generally do not yield the results of an in-person show in terms of quantity of sales, in terms of bookings. So you may have, you kind of want a ratio 2 to 1 for your Facebook parties. That it'll take 2 Facebook parties to get the result of 1 in-person show. So how many of you would be comfortable with a schedule of being out 2 times a week doing a show?
I'd be comfortable with
it. And how many of you would actually be comfortable even with more than that? Okay, that's great. That is great. So until, I love to highlight my shows on my calendar so that I can get an overall look, because if I don't get enough bright looking back at me, then I know, oh no, that is not enough. And you want to track, again, those 4 bookings a week in the margin of your calendar. Because one thing, if you're not making daily lists of what you need to do each day to feel accomplished, that is something that you're definitely going to want to work on. Because here we have Kiefer here on our call, for those of you that are on audio only, that, he's a man on our team, and everybody else looking is a woman on our team. Now, I was reminded of this training this weekend, and I was cracking up because I know this to be true, and you probably will too. When a man makes a to-do list, he uses a piece of paper the size of the item, the number of things that need to be done, right? So it's on a Post-it or a small piece of paper because there's 4 things on the list. He's going to use a size that will hold the 4 items. He does the 4 things and then cracks a beer and is like, great, I am done for the day. That is healthy, good list making. They make the list, they don't overwhelm themselves, they do it, and then they celebrate. I'm not saying they throw themselves a party. I'm saying that they're like, great, I'm done. My husband will do that. What do women do? We get the biggest piece of paper we can find and keep writing until the whole entire legal size thing is done. Work on the list all day. Don't finish it. And then go to bed pissed off that we did 17 out of 23 items on the list. And then the next day, we do it all over again. So, you want to do, a reasonable number of items so that you can, at some point in your day, feel accomplished. So if you're a part-timer, you want 5 business items to do a day on your list. If you are a full-timer, then you can have as many as 10. You click those off, and then you can feel accomplished that day. So if today I need to get 1 of my 4 bookings for this week, that is a great moment when you get to write the 1. You're not pining over that you don't have 4 yet. It's only Tuesday. You have all week. Today you were shooting to get 1 of them. And then you're doing the other items on your list. And then it's okay to watch American Idol. It is, because your 10 items for the day are done. One thing that I do, one thing that can happen to you in this type of business is that you feel like you're never done, because there's always something else to do. There's always another contact to make. There's always another hostess that you need to be in touch with. That's why we make a list, because the list is who's getting spoken to today. The list is who's getting contacted today. Everything else can wait till tomorrow, because you don't want to feel like your life is just running with your hair on fire, because the 10 items on your business list, that's your business things for the day. Many of you still have to do a load of laundry, get to your child's game, run to CVS for toothpaste, all these things that need to occur in your life. So I don't want all of you feeling like you're a hamster on a wheel. That's where a healthy list comes into play. So the 2,502 recruits, that's something that you want to keep in front of you. So that's where you want to employ your to-go thinking. So if you're deciding right now with me that I am going to do 2,502 recruits, then you need a piece of paper that at the top of it says 2,500. And then when you submit a show, you write minus da da da, and then you have, 2,112 to go. And you subtract how much you have to go so that you can celebrate when you get to the bottom. And maybe on the other half of the paper, you have 2 recruits. And when you launch someone, then you have 1 to go. And when you get the second one, you get to celebrate, because now you have done your 2,500 and your 2 recruits. And hey, it may only be the 20th, and you may still have 2 shows. So then you just get to do extra celebration because you're exceeding your goal. So then at some point you may decide, you know what? 2,500 is actually low for me. I want to do the 4,000 and the 2 recruits. So maybe then you bump yourself up and you put 4,000 at the top. Let me see if I can hit that rich rewards level, because then you get $300 worth of jewelry plus the ensemble of the month, right? So now you start with 4,000, and maybe the first time you shoot for it, you get down to that you only had 700 to go. And now it's the end of the month. You're not sad that you failed, that you didn't hit the 4,000. You celebrate that you did more than the 2,500 that you had done all the previous months, and that you just had your highest month ever. And the next month you write 4,000 at the top again and make some adjustments. Well, last month I did, 4 shows and 2 appointments, and that wasn't enough. So this month I'm going to make sure that I do 2 extra. That will have that extra 700 for me. And that's how you kind of grow your goals. That's how you track them. That's how you celebrate them. And that's how you feel good about growing in your business. So how do we feel about making some healthy lists today, and then again tomorrow, and to do some to go for the rest of this month? Now, we didn't even touch on that. How about when you commit to bringing in 2 personal recruits a month, that now we want to teach them to do the same thing, right? So if you have 2 recruits coming in, you want them to be a branch as fast as possible. And we want to teach them the value of 2,502 recruits. So what if the 2 recruits you bring in April go bring in 2 recruits each in May? You'll be an area if you're currently a branch, and you'll be halfway to division if you're currently an area, because you'll have developed 2 of the 4 branches you need to move to division and easily be cranking out the sales. So that's why it's important for you to have that business opportunity brochure out and be doing your to-go tracking, because you will not believe how fast overrides add up. And when you are just staying, if you're fine with being a fashion director and you just want to do an occasional show and that's all fine for you, then of course that's completely fine. Now, chances are those are the people that don't come on the Lunch and Learns. So I know the names that I'm looking at and the faces I'm looking at here are those of you that have told me, and pretty much directly in every case, that you do want more. So the growth and the money that you will see as you commit to these types of goals will be off the charts exciting. And when that email on Friday comes with your pay, you sometimes, I have to do doubles and triple takes sometimes at how generous our overrides are. You know, my previous company, we made 1/4 of the override that I made on, like when I recruit a fashion director, one fashion director here, it took 4 recruits at my other company to get that same percentage. And at my other company, I only got paid 3 levels down. Here you can get paid if you have 200 people down. They're paying you on every single one of those people. So if you came here to grow, this is a great starting place, the 2,500 and the 2 recruits. So who can you, if you think of your team as like Noah's Ark, right? Then everybody brought somebody along with them. Each one reach one, right? So if every one of you decides, I'm bringing in one person, I'm helping them bring in one person, and you think of everyone on your team as, who am I helping? You know, who's on your team? So you put their name on a little, there was a great little, let me see if I can put this up for you guys. There was a great little photo that was shared. Where did it go? Oh man, I don't think I can access it. Shoot. Okay, well, I'll post it because I did screenshot it and I can't seem to get it from behind all these open things that are popped up. But it was a cute picture of like all the little animals for Noah's Ark, right? So if you even use something fun like that for yourself, where you're like, okay, I'm gonna be the peacocks. Who am I bringing along? And then, you know, Morgan's gonna be this one, and then get them bringing somebody on. It's just a cute little fun visual. But that whole 2x2, that's something everyone kind of understands. I feel like most people know the Noah's Ark story, and it's just something to kind of keep in mind. So I have 2 challenges for you. One is to send out your first or second batch of your personalized opportunity brochures, and then do that follow-up. If you have last week's to work on, then yes. Yes. Go ahead.
Could you tell me how to follow up with those?
Oh, so what should you say when you do the follow-up?
Yeah. I mean, how long do you wait after you mail them out to follow up? You said that you can follow them via tracker. I'm not sure what that is.
I was suggesting to use the 21-day tracker that we actually had received at convention. That one I can show you here. Let me quick show it to you again. Okay, do you see it?
I'm on the phone, so I'll watch the replay for it.
Well, that would have been good information before I opened it for you, Summer.
No, that's not Summer.
I'm kidding. It's back here. But can the rest of you see the 21-day tracker? Like, did I do this properly? Okay, Kiefer, thank you for nodding. So this is just, and it's no different than just keeping a list. It's just a little more organized and pretty to look at. So that way you can just check off, like, I texted her, and then if they don't answer the text, I called, and then double check. So that's just so that you can keep track of what it is that what forms and how often did you actually contact them. But when you're following up, you can say, you know, hey, Sue, hope you got my mail from, I hope you got the mail that I sent you. I just was thinking of you because you were such an amazing hostess, and we have so many great things happening right now that I just thought you might want to hear a little bit more about what Park Lane has to offer. Would that be something that we could talk about sometime soon? And then see what the answer is. Just something simple like that. You're just being honest. I sent it to you because, you know, I was thinking of all my best hostesses. We have, you know, as you know, Park Lane's still, and I don't care where you live, you can say this, Park Lane's still pretty new to our area, and we are just so busy. I thought of you as somebody that maybe can help us out with all the business that we have in this area. Because every single one of us, nobody is saying, oh my God, that Park Lane is just flooded here. Whereas people say all the time, you know, that fill in the, you know, that there's other jewelry they may say that is flooded. A lot of, you know, oh, that Arbonne is so flooded here. Everyone's doing that. That Nerium, I feel like every post on my Facebook is Nerium. No one's saying that about Park Lane because we are in an expansion campaign everywhere. And you can use that phrase too. We're in an expansion campaign, and I wanted to think of my best hostesses who I know love the jewelry and had a great party and may want to be a part of it. I would love to talk to you more about it. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to close out here with the second thing that I would encourage you to do. So the 2 action steps are to follow up with the leads that you sent out last week, or to send them, you know, now and do that this week. Because what I would like everyone to have to begin today to use is a notebook that is going to be your recruiting leads notebook. So, and if you're more electronic, feel free. I just kind of always like to have something that I can grab and go, because if I'm going to sit in the car for, you know, my son will sometimes have a lacrosse practice that's too far to come back home and then go pick him up, so I'll just sit in the car for the hour. And I would rather just have a notebook in front of me than to have to look something up electronically. So it's like nothing fancy about it at all. It's just a notebook that you are going to keep track of the names of the people that you at one time you share the business with, and they either say no, or, you know, not right now, which is typically what more people say no than like, because when people talk to you about the business, they don't usually say, no, not ever, that sounds horrible. They'll usually give you some sort of softer no. So those people, you're making your own lead list. You're deciding who's a lead when you're intentional about mailing these brochures out to great hostesses. People at shows that take the brochure, but then you still haven't gotten in touch with them on the phone. All of these names belong in a notebook on a lead list that you put some, and you know, you can leave space so that you can make notes. So if you talk to them this week and it was, you know, not the right time, but thought it sounded great, needs to be through the school year while she finishes her final class for school. That means that you can check back in June because school ends in May. So you would write that down, then write contact back in May, and then in June. And then in June, when you're pulling out your notebook to do one of these days of follow-up, you're going to look through and see, oh, I'm supposed to contact her in June. She's going to be part of my follow-ups for today. So that's how you run a lead list, so that you always have somebody that you can follow up with. Becky shared with us a couple of weeks ago when she was Leader of the Month on the Power Hour, and that 15 minutes a day of the days that you do a Power Hour, which I'm gonna review it again as well, because she really did such a good job with that, and I want to make sure that we have, you know, we all take heed of this. But if you were doing 3 to 4 days a week where you were going to do a power hour, 15 minutes of that is supposed to be following up with recruit leads. You can't do that if you spend the whole 15 minutes looking for who the recruit leads are. When you keep a notebook, you're able to take out the notebook, open the page, and pick somebody. And your recruit notebook can get, the top recruiter at my other company always had one that was a 5-subject notebook. That's how thick it was, of just because she just kept people on there. And it was sometimes, you know, check back with me next year. I'm going to be retiring and I want to do it then. So she would do it then. If you do it as a binder, then you can, and you keep everybody on a separate sheet, then you can always move the sheet to that month or whatever, you know, so you can kind of decide yourself how you want to do that. But to keep the running names, because most people, the percentage of people that will join that is the highest are the people that were asked on their 3rd or 4th time. Now think about how many recruit leads you've probably had now that have slipped between your fingers because you never wrote them down and they never got a 3rd or 4th follow-up from you. It's like you interview them. If they decide yes, that's who's on your team. If they decided no, you already forgot who they are. Those names go on a list so that you can check back with them. And it may be the 4th time, which might be in December, that they join. But you still want them next December, don't you? I know I do. So that's your 2 tasks. Another batch of brochures. Pick a lead notebook. We all have extra school supplies laying around the house. Pick one, and that's your lead notebook. Don't overcomplicate things. If you have an extra binder, use that. If you do something electronic, have at it. But whatever works for you. None of these things have to be pretty, have glitter, have bells and whistles. Grab a notebook. Start it today. And if you are going to commit to that 2,502 as your minimum, when I post this recording, I would love for you to comment that so that I know who I can encourage along the way and celebrate with you. Any questions that I can answer before we wrap it up?
I have a friend here I'm trying to recruit.
Hello, friends. What's your name?
Jenna.
Jenna.
Is it?
Jenna.
Hey, Jenna.
I'm her sister-in-law, not her friend.
Oh, well then, hi, sister-in-law Jenna. So nice to meet you. You should definitely join us. Aren't we so fun?
Yes, this is cool. This whole little thing is cool.
Yeah, we do this a lot. Yep. See, people in New York are now seeing Jenna. Well, just me, but if there was somebody else with me, they would. Well, I definitely would love to talk to you more, or, you know, if you have any questions, we would love to answer those for you. Does anyone have a question?
Thanks for putting me on this. You're welcome.
No.
All right, well, I'm going to post this recording for those of you that want to catch the beginning if you happen to come on late, and for everyone that wasn't able to join live. And I look forward to seeing your lead notebooks and lots of growth. So have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.